John Harvey Kellogg was an American medical doctor, nutritionist, inventor, health activist, eugenicist, and businessman. He was the director of the Battle Creek Sanitarium in Battle Creek, Michigan. The sanitarium was founded by members of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. It combined aspects of a European spa, a hydrotherapy institution, a hospital, and a high-class hotel. Kellogg treated rich and famous as well as poor who could not afford other hospitals. Disagreements with other members of the church led to a major schism within the denomination. Kellogg was disfellowshipped in 1907, but continued to follow many Adventist belief and directed the sanitarium until his death in 1943. Kellogg also helped to establish the American Medical Missionary College in 1895. The college operated independently until 1910, when it merged with Illinois State University. Kellogg was a major leader in progressive health reform, particularly in the second phase of the clean living movement. He wrote extensively on science and health. His approach to biologic living combined scientific knowledge with Adventist beliefs, promoting health reform and temperance. His promotion of developing aphrodisiac foods was based on these beliefs. Many of the vegetarian foods that Kellogg developed and offered his patients were publicly marketed. Kellogg is best known today for the invention of the breakfast cereal cornflakes, originally intended to be an aphrodisiac, made by his brother Will Keith Kellogg. His creation of the modern breakfast cereal changed the American breakfast landscape forever. Kellogg dedicated the last 30 years of his life to promoting eugenics. He co-founded the Race Betterment Foundation, co-organized several national conferences on race betterment, and attempted to create a eugenics registry. Alongside discouraging racial mixing, Kellogg was in favor of sterilizing mental defective persons, promoting a eugenics agenda while working on the Michigan Board of Health and helping to enact authorization to sterilize those deemed mentally defective into state law during his tenure. Now let's look a little closer at John Harvey Kellogg. First of all, it's interesting to note that in 1907 he was disfellowshipped from the Church of Seventh-day Adventists. Think about it. Seventh-day Adventists disfellowshipped him because of his personal views on life, because of his ideas, because of his way of seeing the world. And that is because John Harvey Kellogg had a twisted view of the world. He shared similar views that the Nazis and Adolf Hitler shared as it relates to how the world is and the people of the world. Now let's go back and touch a couple of things that points to this twisted idea of how the world is and how the world should be according to John Harvey Kellogg. First of all, out of all the things that he was listed as, It also mentions he's listed as a eugenicist. Now, if you don't know what a eugenicist is, a eugenicist, the word eugenicist comes from the Greek word eu meaning good and genesis meaning coming into being or growing. Now, it is a set of beliefs and practice that aim to improve genetic quality of a human population, historically by excluding people and groups judged to be inferior or promoting those judged to be superior. In recent years, the term has seen a revival in the usage of new technologies such as CRISPR and genetic screening, with a heated debate on whether these technologies should be called eugenics or not. Historically speaking, the concept predates the term Plato suggested, applying the principles of selective breeding to humans around 400 BC. Early advocates of eugenics in the 19th century regarded it as a way of improving groups of people. In contemporary usage, the term eugenics is closely associated with scientific racism. Modern biotechnists who activate eugenics characterize it as a way of enhancing individual traits regardless of group membership. And so right off the bat, because he was a eugenicist, he believed, as also Hitler and the Nazis believed, that you can improve a particular race who is considered superior over other races by eliminating the weaker race. Think about that. Now, here is a man who is responsible for revolutionizing modern day breakfast foods, but yet his view of the world is that a particular race is more advanced and more privileged than other races, and those other races being inferior to the superior race should be eliminated. So now, how was the inferior races to be eliminated based on John Harvey Kellogg's belief and strategy? So let's touch on how his breakfast food was originally intended to be an aphrodisiac food based on his beliefs. An aphrodisiac is a substance that blunts the libido. It is opposite of an aphrodisiac, something that enhances sexual appetite. The word aphrodisiac comes from the Greek word properly prefixed, denoting negation, and aphrodisiac from the Greek goddess of love, Aphrodite. And so here he created this cereal to be an aphrodisiac, which means there are ingredients that he put in his brand of breakfast food to minimize or to block the libido from causing a sexual appetite within the races that he feels to be inferior to the superior race, which is to say that his plan or his idea was to control or to eliminate inferior populations from the world by controlling their reproductive habits, by stopping them from being reproductive. Because if you can cut off or to minimize the effects of the libido, that would cause a drop in sexual activity. Therefore, when there's less sex going on, there is also less reproduction taking place. And so that race that eats his breakfast food the most will begin to be outnumbered in population, thus advancing the count of the inferior race. Let's touch on another aspect of John Harvey Kellogg's view. The last 30 years of his life, he spent it promoting eugenics. He actually co-founded the Race Betterment Foundation. He co-organized several national conferences on race betterment and attempted to even create a eugenics registry where they can record and list their advancements, their activities, so they can gauge how successful they are at eliminating an inferior races. Now, alongside from that, he also discouraged racial mixing. Those of you who are race mixed couples today, John Harvey Kellogg was against you. And that's part of the reason why he created his foods. And then he publicly advertised his foods. So Kellogg was in favor of also sterilizing the mentally defective person, promoting a eugenics agenda while working on the Michigan Board of Health. Now, interestingly enough, he was also deemed to make it a part of state law during his tenure to declare a person mentally defective. Now, this is the danger in that, and a person in that with that type of belief. Because if he consider your race inferior to his own race, he can get the state to declare you mentally defective so that he can now admit you into the sanitarium that he was in charge of. And that is also dangerous, because here's a man with views and ideas of this world that don't even line up in agreement with his religious belief. He was a member of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, and this religious organization disagreed so strongly with him that they disfellowshipped him. But now, with these views, he's over or running a sanitarium. He's inventing foods, even after publicly acknowledging the purpose of making this food to the world. He advertised his food to the public, and people were eating, and still today eat, Kellogg's food. William Keith Kellogg, generally referred to as W.K. Kellogg, was an American industrialist in food manufacturing, best known as the founder of the Kellogg Company, which produces a wide variety of popular breakfast cereals. He was a member of the Seventh-day Adventist Church and practiced vegetarianism as a dietary principle taught by his church. He also founded the Kellogg Arabian Ranch, which breeds Arabian horses. Kellogg was a philanthropist and started the Kellogg Foundation in 1934 with a $66 million donation. As a young businessman, Kellogg started out selling brooms before moving to Battle Creek, Michigan to help his brother John Harvey Kellogg run the Battle Creek Sanitarium. The sanitarium, originally the Western Health Reform Institute, was part of a pioneering effort based on the health principles advocated by the Seventh-day Adventist Church. John Kellogg described the sanitarium system as composite physiologic method comprising hydrotherapy, phototherapy, thermotherapy, electrotherapy, mechanotherapy, dietetics, physical culture, cold air cure, eugenics, and health training. The Kellogg's pioneered the process of making flaked cereal. Because of the commercial potential of the discovery, Will wanted it kept a secret. However, John allowed anyone in the sanitarium to observe the flake process, and one sanitarium guest, C.W. Post, copied the process to start his own company. That company became Post Cereal and later General Foods, the source of Post's first $1 million. This upset Will to the extent that he left the sanitarium to create his own company. With the help of his brother John, Will Kellogg promoted cereals, especially cornflakes, as a healthy breakfast food. They started the Santos Food Company around 1897, focusing on the production of their whole grain cereals. At the time, the standard breakfast for the well-off was eggs and meat, while the poor ate porridge, farina, gruel, and other boiled grains. The brothers eventually argued over the addition of sugar to their product. In 1906, Will founded the Battle Creek Toast Cornflake Company, which later became the Kellogg Company. In 1930, he established the W.K. Kellogg Foundation, ultimately donating the $66 million to it. His company was one of the first to put nutrition labels on food. He also offered the first inside-the-box prize for children. Kellogg said, "I will invest my money in people." During the Great Depression, Kellogg directed his cereal plant to work 4 shifts, each lasting 6 hours. This gave more people in Battle Creek the opportunity to work during that time. Now let's take a closer look at Will Keith Kellogg. First of all, you understand that Will would not have moved to Battle Creek, Michigan to help his brother John if he did not share similar views of this world as his brother John did. As Matter of fact, when you take into consideration that the brothers split from being business partners to where Will ventured out to start his own company, which is now known as the Kellogg Company. Now, the split didn't happen because of a disagreement in their views of this world. No. The split happened because Will wanted to keep the production and how they made their flake cereal a secret, while his brother John allowed everyone who was in the sanitarium, even those admitted as patients, to see the process. And as a result of that, one of their patients, C.W. Post, copied their idea and started his own company, the Post Cereal Company. And that caused Will to become upset enough to venture out away from his brother and start his own business. And so Will took the eugenics approach a step further than his brother John, because Will targeted children. And he targeted children by being one of the first cereal brands to offer an in-box prize. Do you realize that when your child hear an advertisement or see an advertisement advertising a certain cereal brand that offers a prize in the box, that child is going to ask the parents to purchase that particular cereal brand so that they can get their hands on the prize in the box, while at the same time that cereal won't go to waste because the parents gonna see to that. They're gonna make sure that the child eats the cereal that their eyes were big for. And so in the promotion of the eugenics ideology, if you can get children to start eating anaphrodite food at an early age, it gives more time to weaken the effect of the libido, and thus controlling the reproduction of who they deemed to be an inferior people from an early age. Today, Kellogg cereal can still be found in the homes of millions of people.